Block, Canella, De Leon, Fuller, Gaines, Galgiani, Glazer, Hall, Hancock, Hernandez, Hertzberg, Hill, Hueso, Huff, Jackson, Lada, Leno, Leyva, Liu, McGuire, Mendoza, Mitchell, Monning, Morlock, Morrell, Wynn, Nilsson, Pan, Pavley, Roth, Runner, Stone, Vidak, Wykowski, Wolk.
Secretary notices an absence of a quorum. If members can please make their way to the Senate floor as soon as possible. We actually have a special order of business that we need to dispense with if you are to leave on time today.
Allen, Anderson, Bates, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Canella, De Leon, Fuller, Gaines, Galgiani, Glazer, Hall, Hancock, Hernandez, Hertzberg, Hill, Hueso, Huff, Jackson, Lotta, Leno, Leyva, Liu, McGuire, Mendoza, Mitchell, Monning, Morlock, Morrell, Wynn, Nielsen, Pan, Pavley, Roth, Runner, Stone, Vidak, Wykowski, Wolk.
Thank you. A quorum is present, members. Would the members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery please rise? We will be led in prayer this morning by our chaplain, Sister Michelle Gorman, after which please remain standing. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by our Senator Benjamin Hueso.
Let us center ourselves in God's presence. God of the generations, when we set our hands to labor, thinking that we work alone, remind us that we carry on our lips the words of prophets, in our veins the blood of martyrs, in our eyes the mystic's visions, and in our hands the strength of thousands. Amen.
Please join me in saluting our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members, we are moving to privileges of the floor. Senator Block, privileges of the floor. Okay, we'll pass temporarily. Messages from the governor. Messages from the governor will be deemed read. Messages from the assembly will be deemed read. Reports of committee will be deemed read and amendments adopted. Motions, resolutions, and notices, members. Without objection, the Senate journals for May 16th through May 19th, 2016 will be approved as corrected by the minute clerk. Members, any other motions, resolutions, and notices? Seeing none, we're going to move to consideration of the daily file. Second reading file. Secretary, please read.
Senate Constitutional Amendment 1 with amendments, Senate Resolution 74.
Thank you. Secretary will deem read. Members, give us 1 second, please. Members, we are going to move back to privileges of the floor. Senator Block at Senator Monning's desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Have a brief announcement. I'm going to introduce some folks who just flew in, actually just arrived about half an hour ago from San Diego. They educate more than 130,000 students in San Diego, the second largest school district in California. From San Diego Unified School District, they're coming to the back of chambers right now. I'd like to introduce the president of San Diego School Board, Dr. Michael McQuarrie, trustee Sharon Whitehurst Payne, superintendent Cindy Martin, and chief financial officer Jenny Salkeld. Please give them some applause.
Thank you. Welcome to California State Senate. Members, without objection, we will now move to our special order of business. Mr. Pro Tem, are you ready? One minute, members. Members, we're going to begin our special order of business. I will be informing you what the file item number is and the bill that we are taking up. The first file item, members, is file item 52, SB 1235. Senator De Leon, Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1235 by Senator De Leon, an act relating to ammunition.
Thank you much, Mr. President. Colleagues, as we know, gun violence has reached epidemic proportions across our nation. And every day in America, 300 people are either killed or injured by gunfire. In an average year, over 17,000 children will be shot. And of these 17,000 children, 3,000 will die from the gun injuries. To put this in context, from the year 2001 to 2014, American military personnel in Iraq, we lost 4,491 individuals. In Afghanistan, from 2001 to 2015, in Afghanistan, we lost 2,336 individuals from the U.S. military. But in an average year, over 17,000 children will be shot, and 3,000 of them will die on an annual basis from their injuries. Altogether, over 30,000 Americans are killed every year by gun violence. 30,000 Americans killed by gun violence every single year, whether gangs, whether it's a violent robbery, whether it's a mass shooting, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's a suicide, whether it's accidental. 30,000 Americans are killed every single year. Colleagues, I know that we cannot stand by while our communities suffer from this horrific violence. The proposals before you today, including SB 1235, are carefully crafted to protect public safety while preserving access to lawful gun ownership. These proposals take common sense steps to keep weapons and ammunition out of the hands of criminals. They will empower law enforcement to better serve and to protect our communities. Time is of essence, colleagues, and I do urge your support, not just for 1235, but the variety of measures that will be heard today, both Senate bills as well as Assembly bills. Today, I wear an orange tie in solidarity with my colleagues on the Assembly side and Speaker Anthony Rendon, who yesterday held a press conference and presented their package of measures. They all wore orange ties, which is symbolic of National Gun Violence Awareness Day, which is coming up. So I stand in solidarity with our colleagues on the Assembly side who know that we must work together to deal with the 17,000 children who will be shot this year, of which, again, 3,000 will die from these gun injuries. Now, first on the list is a measure that I've been working on for the last 10 years. Senate Bill 1235 offers a comprehensive approach to ensure that criminals and other dangerous individuals cannot purchase ammunition. Today, any person with a criminal record can walk into any Big Five store, any Walmart store, anyone from prohibited class, and buy all the handgun and long gun ammunition that they like, no questions asked. Zero restrictions. There is no way to track who is buying and selling bullets, let alone prevent the sale to prohibited people. This blind eye approach in putting millions of rounds of ammunition in the hands of killers. Now, there have been many iterations of this measure with different implementation models as well as associated costs, including Senate Bill 53 from 2013, my measure, which would have required a fingerprint check to apply for an ammunition purchase permit. Senate Bill 1235 offers the best approach to regulate ammunition sales. Now, I commend Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom for recognizing the needs to address this problem including ammunition background checks in his initiative. However, since he devised the initiative, which mirrors Senate Bill 53 very closely, we've come up with a better approach that I believe is easier to implement and actually less burdensome on firearm owners. Instead of applying for permits, getting fingerprinted, and paying a $75 fee, gun owners will be able to purchase ammunition simply by presenting their driver's license to the vendor. Similar to a credit card transaction, vendors will use a driver's license to make sure the gun owner has not fallen into a prohibited class. Gun owners will only have to pay a small transaction fee, 75 cents per transaction. Very, very economical. This bill uses existing firearm registration records to screen criminals from law-abiding citizens at the point of sale. This approach is much more convenient for customers and cheaper for the Department of Justice to implement. Yet, it still meets the goals of the initiative and Senate Bill 53 to license ammunition vendors, screen for prohibited people, and make sales records available to law enforcement. We do have law enforcement in support of this bill as well as the package. The police chief of the second largest police department in America, Police Chief Charlie Beck of Los Angeles, as well as the sheriff of the largest sheriff's department in the United States of America, that is Mr. Jim McDonnell. Colleagues, these are very common sense, straightforward approach to deal with public safety and to protect our children. Mr. President, as well as colleagues, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Dillon. Debate or discussion on this item? Senator Nielsen.
Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, were this bill really applicable to criminals? We may have some arguments here. But the criminals will not be affected. They laugh at this bill. In fact, most of these bills do not affect the criminals. They will exploit these bills. They will not pay any attention to these bills. These bills disarm the law-abiding public. Those who wish to collect guns, to recreate with guns. And by the way, those are not just individuals who live in the rural areas. Millions who live in urban communities are gun collectors and hunters who like to go out into the wilderness. My point is, though, gun violence, has it decreased over the many years we have passed gun control bill after gun control bill after gun control bill? Not in the least. It has increased. Why? The intent of these bills has been misdirected. It is misdirected because they're pointed at the law-abiding. The criminals pay no heed whatsoever. The database. We already have a huge issue. The database. The Attorney General has been unable to go and confiscate the guns, nearly 12,000, in the hands of felons who have used guns, who are prohibited from having guns, having completed their sentences. They are now in our community. Over 10,000, well, 12,000 now it looks like. It's been a budget issue for some 3 years. There's a backlog. The Attorney General has not caught up with that backlog. They've asked more and more money. Now we're to appropriate $20 million, and it's been requested ongoing just to deal with that one backlog. Now, they've made some attempts to help a little bit, but far inadequate. And these are for individuals who have already demonstrated that they're dangerous with guns. And now we're going to impose all of this additional database requirements that they can't even handle now. And understand, just for that narrow universe of some 12,000, it's costing $20 million. And by the way, these bills, Is this the way we, the legislature, do business? Bills were gutted and amended, many of these, in the Assembly. And retiring members, bills that were totally unrelated, so we have a germaneness issue, were amended, brought over here, circumventing the process. We have a process where we have policy committee hearings in both houses. That did not happen. The Appropriation Committee process here, the suspense, I think, was avoided by an arbitrary decision. There was no fiscal consequences. There are over $30 million by our reckoning, and these bills were just flipped right out to the floor here today. For what reason? Was there any time urgency? Even if you accept there were no fiscal consequences, and there are, there was no reason. So was there an opportunity for the law-abiding public who care about these bills to come and testify? No. Because we have decided to fast track. Is that open government? Is that sunshine on the system and the process? Absolutely not. That's covert. And the public ought to be rightly outraged at that alone, particularly on an issue of this moment in significance. So the purpose of this bill is misdirected because it will not deter the criminals. And a year from now and 2 years from now, all of these bills, were they all to pass and be signed by the governor, and he in many of veto messages on some of these same bills we'll consider says he finds them unnecessary. And I hope if they pass, he finds them unnecessary again, including this one if it passes. The law-abiding citizen is going to be frustrated. And the criminals are going to be emboldened and empowered. Are you going to take ammunition away from the criminals? Did the gangs go in to the Walmarts, the ammunition dealers? Did they care? No, ladies and gentlemen. You are not getting at it. And this bill will not make a whit of difference in bringing down violent crime. I urge a no vote.
Senator Stone.
Thank you, Mr. President. And, you know, I applaud the pro tem's motivation in getting guns and ammunition away from criminals. And I think we'll all agree that we hate seeing the drive-by shootings that we witness, the gang shootings, the terrorist attacks like the ones in San Bernardino. And I appreciate the symbolism of the pro tem wearing his orange tie today. I'm wearing a red tie today. And the symbolism of my tie is the hundreds of thousands of men and women that gave their lives, the ultimate sacrifice to protect our Constitution, that all of us have taken an oath of office to protect both at the California level and at the federal level. If SB 1235 is passed and enacted into law, it would require the collection and reporting of personal consumer information for all ammunition purchases throughout the state. In doing so, it would be imposing drastic and unjustified restrictions on law-abiding gun owners while doing nothing to reduce violent crime. It will similarly fail to reduce violent crime as a law requiring honest citizens to now register to buy ammunition, and it will not deter criminals, because what are the criminals going to do? They don't follow the laws. That's why they're criminals. They're going to go to the black market to buy their ammunition, or they're going to go to neighboring states to buy their ammunition, where we don't have a homogeneous set of laws that would do what we ultimately would like to do, and that's get guns and ammunition out of the hands of dangerous criminals and those suffering from mental illness. In 2009, Assembly Bill 962 was enacted into law. That legislation sought to impose identical restrictions on handgun ammunition sales. Those restrictions have yet to be enforced. However, because the definition of handgun ammunition employed by AB 962 was ruled unconstitutionally vague. In 2011, Governor Brown vetoed a virtually similar ammunition sales registration bill. Governor Brown specifically instructed that another ammunition registration amendment should not be considered prior to the resolution of Park versus California, which enjoined the enforcement of AB 962. That case, my friends, is still pending before the California Supreme Court. What this will do is will make ammunition more expensive, more bureaucratic for lawful gun owners to get, and it will force not only criminals, but it will force even law-abiding citizens to just go buy their ammo, which would be much less expensive, by just going to our neighboring state of Arizona. The criminals will, of course, resort to underground mechanisms of getting ammunition and guns, which basically they do today. With this plethora of gun bills that we see today, I will tell you that I have not had as many phone calls and emails from people, both Republicans and some very conservative Democrats that value their Second Amendment rights, that feel that this is an intrusion on their Second Amendment rights. And that is why I felt compelled that I must stand up to protect our Second Amendment rights from those that seek to diminish it, to dishonor those that fought for those rights. And it gets also to the point of transparency. We all know what the gut and amend process does. It limits the ability of the public to come and testify and show their support or their opposition to bills. I wish there was a way that we could eliminate that process in this building and we could all stand for transparency in government and letting those that may have a differing opinion than ourselves have the ability to address us. Because they can't come down to the floor and tell us how they feel about it now. It's not convenient for people to know within a short period of time that they want to come to Sacramento and express their outrage that you're taking their rights away from them. So I'm going to stand with the Second Amendment. I want to protect lawful abiding citizens and not make criminals out of law abiding citizens. Let's protect lawful gun owners and give them the rights afforded to them by the U.S. Constitution. And for those reasons, I strongly urge a no vote on SB 1235.
Thank you. Senator Gaines.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for this opportunity, members, to speak in reference to an assault on our Second Amendment rights. And this is just the first of a barrage of legislation that's moving through this body. Senate Bill 1446, Senate Bill 880, Senate Bill 1235, Senate Bill 894, Senate Bill 1006, Senate Bill 1407, AB 156, AB 1511, AB 857, and AB 1135. So I rise in opposition to this bill, but the entire package as it moves through. And I want to speak to every attempt to whittle away our right to bear arms. Gun ownership is a constitutional bedrock. We can't smash the Second Amendment into a million pieces and expect America to be as free and strong as it's always been. And I've heard from both Democrats and Republicans, just as my colleague was saying in reference to these bills moving through, and they are outraged and angry. This bill strikes me as an attempt to strangle this fundamental right, the Second Amendment. It strikes me as a part of an effort to bury it under so much bureaucratic and administrative weight that the people, the law-abiding people, will just give up gun ownership as too much of a hassle. The Supreme Court could not be clearer about the rights of individuals to bear arms. The Ninth Circuit Court, which is viewed as the most liberal circuit court in the nation, has just ruled that part of that right means that people also have the right to buy and sell firearms. The trend is clear. California has hundreds of laws related to guns already on the books. I can't imagine that adding yet another would solve any perceived problem or do anything other than unnecessarily burden people who are already trying to do the right thing and exercise their rights. I oppose this bill for everyone who uses a gun for hunting, home protection, and we have rising crime rates here in California, for recreation, collecting, or for any other legal reason. But I also oppose it for everyone who doesn't own a gun, but who values our freedom and constitutional rights. I urge a no vote.
Thank you. Senator Vidak.
Mr. Chairman, members, ditto.